Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get Real About Love, also Love Mechanics. I give people the power tools to create a better life, better relationships, and I'm so glad to be back. I've been very, very busy helping a lot of people through the loneliness of the coronavirus, and many of you are at home. And just like you, I have been networking on Zoom. And today, I have a fantastic guest and a two-time author who is totally aligned with my vision about networking. So don't go anywhere because you're going to be hearing from a man that is so passionate about this. He's going to inspire you how to network better. So we'll be right back. Okay, everybody, it's Renee Piane, and I'm back here on Get Real About Love. And one of the things that many, many people have a problem with is how to effectively network. And I myself ran rapid dating and rapid networking events, and I always like to hunt down experts who are masters at this. So today I'm going to welcome Frank Agin. How are you doing today?
Renee, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy that you're here. We actually had a match up because I networked with him on LinkedIn, and I know that you have so many great tips from your book, The Foundational Networking: Building, Knowing, Like, and Trust to Create a Lifetime of Extraordinary Success. So I want to hear how did you start all this? What made you do what you do?
Yeah, I kind of fell into it, I guess. I have a law degree and I have an MBA. I started my career as a tax consultant in a very large firm, which was a great opportunity if you like to do taxes. And I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life. So I decided to leave and go into private practice. And I tell people when I went into the private practice of law, a funny thing happened. And the funny thing was that nothing happened. I had no idea how to get clients. I was always under the impression that you do well, you work hard, you be smart, get all these credentials. I also have a CPA, that things will just come to you, and it doesn't work that way. And so I had lunch one day with a friend of mine, and she said, I asked her, I said, what do I need to do to be successful? And she said, you need to network. You need to get into a tips club. And so I did. And make a long story short, Renee, at one point I had an opportunity to be its first franchisee and then buy it out this was all dating back to the late 90s. And I stopped the practice of law, and I have been kind of on this mission of helping people become more successful through networking, just as it helped me early on. So that's my role.
You got ignited into helping other people do what made you have more success,
Yeah,
basically.
the world doesn't need another attorney. It doesn't need another attorney. It needs me doing what I'm doing, just like it needs you doing what you're doing.
Well,
The world
that's
needs
why
it.
I thought we were a match. So anybody that's listening to this, if you're new at networking, it really is an art. And his book gives you so many great foundational tips. And one of them is one of the ones in my book, you about listening. And I have it marked. And it says a good listener is not only popular everywhere, but after a while, he or she knows something, which means listening is a great thing that it says here. God gave us two ears and one mouth, and there's a good reason for it, so that you're listening more than you're talking. So let's expand on that. Do you think that that's important?
Well, yeah, it's absolutely important. When I'm out talking with groups, I always kind of create parables or dilemmas or questions. When you walk into a room, do you want to be with somebody who is just vomiting all over with you about their life, or would you rather be with somebody who's curious about you and wants to listen to you? And most people will say, well, I would really like somebody to be interested in me. You know what? That's what you need to do. You need to turn the tables on people and be interested in them, because in reality, when we're interested in other people, they think we're fascinating. We haven't told them a thing.
That this is like the best person they've ever met, right?
I don't know anything about him, but he's awesome, or she's awesome. And it's really kind of a simple thing. When you and I've had other conversations about this, but in the whole small talk arena, it's not about what you have to say. It's what you have to ask and getting them talking and learning from them. And that's what people are attracted to. People who are going to be interested in them and are going to be listening.
Well, that's why I thought you'd be an interesting guest, because people think that dating is all about just going out and saying, I like to do this and I like to do that. But it's really you're seeing if your lifestyles merge, because basically you're a married man. How many years have you been married?
26. Is that a trick
26.
question? It's 26.
26 years. Well, your wife would be proud that you knew the number, but
Yeah, no
beyond
hesitation.
that, how does she feel? I mean, my husband, here I am in the love and dating industry, helping people to reinvent, and networking is one of the people really have a hard time walking up to a stranger, right? Saying things, flirting techniques. And I teach that like you do for business, I do for love. And it really all is the same. So that's
Yep.
why I thought having an expert on to give us maybe like your top 3 tips for people that are shy, that don't know how can they get prepared before a date, before a networking event, whether it's online, like you have your AmSpirit business connections, you have your network RX podcast that they should tune into to give them all this. But what about, how can they get really in that zone to
Well,
network effectively?
yeah, it really, networking is a game of inches. It's the 6 inches between your ears, right? It's all in your head. And what I tell people, the things I tell people as far as getting out there or getting on Zoom, and there's lots of opportunities to get networked in this digital world while we're dealing with COVID. But what I tell people is the best first step is to take it. Go to the event, get on whatever the call. If you don't do that, you have no chance, but you need to go. The second thing I'll tell people is that you need to walk in with a mindset that you're there to help other people and think about what are the ways I can help other people. And what that does is 2 things. One, when you're thinking about all the possible ways you can help other people, you're engaging a portion of the brain. It's the higher thinking portion of the brain, because we're always afraid of going out and talking to strangers. And that's really kind of a primitive part of our brain that's interacting, it's kicking into gear. But when we have these thoughts about helping other people, we're engaging the higher portion of our brain. And so it makes us less fearful. But the other thing it does is when you go in and you're truly interested in helping other people, you kind of wear this, what I call a cloak of invincibility. Who's going to reject? Nobody rejects Superman. Nobody rejects Wonder Woman, because they're there to help. And when you're that person who comes into the room and you're truly there to help other people, your shoulders are a little taller, right? You stand a little taller, your shoulders are back. You're there with that mindset. And that's a very attractive mindset. The third thing I tell people is connecting with other people is 100% your responsibility.
Absolutely.
Do not go to an event. Don't go to an event and expect people to come to you. You need to get out there and say hello to other people. However that manifests online, just send them a chat. Hey, I really like your background or whatever. Don't wait for people to come to you. You come to them. And I will tell you, and you'll tell them, most people will be thankful that you did, because they're just as afraid as you are. And they're just, oh my gosh.
Feels so uncomfortable.
Right.
The loneliness factor right now is really low for people that are single. So that's why I wanted them to hear your insights, because it is very similar to the dating game. And when I taught networking, I would see people just like in a dating event, standing up against the wall with their arms crossed, right?
Yeah.
Fearful to walk up to somebody. I said, this is the easiest place to meet people. They have a name tag on. You can say their name. I like using names. So are you a big name person, like to be able to say, hey, hi, Frank? Because whenever I write to anybody, I really want them to know that I'm interested. And I was interested because of all that you're doing. It aligns exactly with what I'm doing. So you talk about volunteering, and this is one of my greatest secrets as well. So what can people do? I think when people volunteer, they feel more comfortable because they're doing an action rather than being a stranger in a room. So what do they get to do if they volunteer, like at one of your events? Because I used to have like 6 volunteers, and people will call and say, can I volunteer? And I'd say, yeah, because they're giving back. So
You know, yeah, people ask me all the time, what's the quick and easy way for me to get started networking? And volunteering is always number one on the list. And the reason for that, Renee, is, well, first of all, let's preface this by saying, find something you're passionate about. When I generally talk about volunteering, I'm talking about community, charities, things like that. Find something you're passionate about and volunteer there. And you're not there to find love, and you're not there to find business. You're there to serve. You're there to serve a purpose. But when you get there, you are working elbow to elbow with people who have come out of their world, or their corner of the world, to serve the same purpose. And they see you as a giving and caring person. And we are attracted to those people who are giving and caring. And so automatically they know, I like this person. They don't know anything about you. They don't know if you're single. They don't know if you're married. They don't know what you do. They just know that they like you because you're helping a cause that they're helping. And they will find out all that stuff in time. So you don't need to worry about that. You get out there and you volunteer. But the other thing that happens is when you volunteer is the people who aren't associated with that organization or whatever that event, they see it as well. And that automatically raises you on a pedestal. Like, oh my gosh, he's on that committee. He must be somebody. I'm not interested in that at all, but because he's on that committee and serving the community in that way, he must be somebody who's a giver, somebody who's, that's attractive to people. So yeah, definitely volunteer.
Well, at my events, I have to say almost every person that has ever volunteered was scared. They felt scared that they were going to be like, oh, are people going to think that I'm here, that it's just that I'm here to pick up people? No, it's like you said, because each event that I do gives back to something. I give back to a charity. Like I'm supposed to be having my holiday magic toy drive. And it's been 27 years, and I gather people together. They've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, but everybody wants to volunteer because they want to wear the Santa hat and have fun. So there are so many places that people can go to volunteer in my cities anyway, Los Angeles or wherever you are. All you have to do is look up, volunteering for organizations that need help. So you have your own networking that you're doing. Can you tell us how it's grown? I mean, I came on, I was so impressed. Everybody was so awesome. And you made it so easy for everybody to meet each other afterward. You gave all the notes. And so I contacted a lot of them, and they were wonderful people. So what would people do to get started if they're not networking or they feel uncomfortable?
Well, there's lots of opportunities out there. I have an organization. It's called AmSpirit Business Connections, and it's very similar to BNI for people who are familiar with it. And I don't have a presence on the West Coast at this point. Looking for people, but don't have a presence at this point. And so that's a lot of what I do. But I have other activities. I have a monthly activity where I bring charities together to network with each other because they all share the same challenges and can help one another overcome those challenges. But then I also have a monthly call that you participated in. It was great to have you, where there's just professionals that come on and again, help one another with challenges. And they're open to, this is where I need help. There are lots of those opportunities out there. I have not cornered the market on those types of opportunities. There are wonderful people out there that put things together, and it depends what your interests are. I mean, there are some people who are interested in writing, and some people are interested in photography, acting, or whatever it might be. And there are groups out there where you can be connected to like-minded people. But again, it gets back to what I said before. It's 100% your responsibility to find these things.
Get active in it. Yeah, that's what I tell people. And then when you go, it's being able to present yourself and learning how to speak about yourself. People are uncomfortable. Do you find that people are kind of nervous about talking about themselves when they have that moment? Because people will say to me, I don't know what to do. Like, and I practice with them, a lot of my clients. So what would be your, like, before they go to an event to prepare list? Are you there? Uh-oh. Frank, I don't know what happened. You're frozen. We have a frozen guest. So
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh
Am I
yeah,
still?
it was the internet. So what would be your tips to help people it's freezing again. I don't know why. Okay. So Frank, what would be your tips to teach people how to prepare in advance so that they can be on top of their game when they network, whether it's online or in person?
Well, the reality is prepare. There is nothing wrong with writing out what you think you want to say, and you should write it how you want to say it, because a lot of times the written words don't come out. Your tongue can't do the things that you can write. So you want to write it. You want to practice it in front of a mirror. You want to you. There's nothing wrong with that, to kind of plan that out. I think that's where people fall down, is they want this pre-recorded script just uploaded to their brain that's real simple, and it does take preparation. It doesn't have to be very long. It can be cute. It can be playful. I've seen people do all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I'm an attorney, but this is but I really love to do this. They'll throw that in there to say, I'm not all business. And not being all business works in the dating world, and it works in the business world, because people don't want to get right down to business. They want to talk about the things that are really of interest. We don't, we spend most of our time outside of work, really. So preparation is the key.
I think so too. And that's the same thing, to get themselves prepared in advance with what they wear that make them feel great.
Yeah.
Because I know if I was out and about and somebody said, "Hey, do you want to go to this networking thing?" and I wasn't feeling good in what I was wearing, I'm like, no, I want to be on top of my game. And the other thing is business cards. Live, when you do live events, do you recommend that? Or do you do a lot of people do the texting and they link up right away? Do you think follow-up is key? So what is
Well,
your advice for that?
you and I both know Berta Medina Garcia, and she has a wonderful book out there, Become Competition Proof. And she has a line in there which I think is classic. And the line is that if I go to an event with 100 people, or if I go to an event with 5 people, I bring 5 business cards. If I go to an event with 100 people, I bring 5 business cards. And I think it's a key point that she makes, is that you don't go to these events and try to meet dozens of people. It's about establishing relationships. And so over the course of a couple hours, 5 people is plenty to really have a meaningful relationship. You're not a card dealer at Vegas just whipping cards out. You're there to build relationships. So it's really, it can be a digital card. Certainly it can be a physical card. Depends what you're comfortable with. Obviously you want a way that people can remember you and follow up with you. And that's really the purpose there. But I'm not a big proponent of getting lots and lots of them out. You're there to build relationships. And I've seen people be very successful not having cards and just gathering, why don't you give me your card and I'll get a hold of you, and then following through with that.
And I really felt like it was great for all of us on it was called, let's see, what was it called?
The
The
networking
Network
hub.
Hub. The Network Hub. When we were on there, everybody was writing notes and they would put their LinkedIn. So I took pictures as I was going on. And then, of course, you sent us all of that.
Yeah.
And then I followed up with the people that wanted to be followed up with. So I was writing. What I do and I suggest this is, after you meet somebody that you want to meet, I put VIP on there. And I prioritize, because people, when they meet me, because I'm running it, they throw their cards at me, and then I don't know what they want, because I'm not oftentimes, if you're a speaker. So if you're a speaker, how do you do it when you're the main man and you're not really sure, or you go into the back of the room, trying to, get them to be a part of your whole new project, which is to get other leaders to do what you're doing, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here, because there could be people. I always say you should do your own events in your city, but you should get with a name or a person that leads it, that can help you, guide you the way that it will be successful, rather than just doing your own. So it happened to me with rapid dating. I was the first out of the gate, and then people just, instead of being one of my alliances, they went and just copied it and did it themselves. But it's better to learn from a master, somebody that has the success. And you had a really nice group of people, and I'm sure that with all the people that you have, you could help those people to build a business if they wanted to, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
How
absolutely.
to just give us a little insight, or maybe you can give me the link if anybody's interested. But I met you on LinkedIn, and we are having a little problem here. I met you on LinkedIn, and it was a risk that I took to write to you, but it was because I was interested in who you were. I genuinely was. And I do believe that you can feel a genuine connection on LinkedIn rather than just like a robo, thing that people write. Can you speak to people about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're connecting with people on LinkedIn, you need to have a message. This is why I'm connecting with you. We have this in common, or I'm from there. We worked here. They need to have a connection. And then you certainly need to follow up with people and just say, thank them for that. Uh, you know, what you do online is exactly what you do in the real world. It's about being interested in other people. And, our exchange was, hey, let's get acquainted. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't, there's got to be, I'm fond of this saying, everybody I know could benefit by somebody else I know, right? So knowing you, I know there are people out there, you know, podcasts to be on, or people that could benefit from you, or people that could benefit you. And so, but it starts with that initial conversation of just coming together and saying, okay, well, what are you about? So these LinkedIn connections should not be about selling. It's a huge turnoff. It's a
It's
huge
more
turnoff.
build, let's build a bridge, and it really has been very powerful. So how can people find your book, and you give them a little heads up so that they can get involved with your networking if they want to, if this feels like a passion for them, or
Yeah.
learn more from you?
The best way to find me, all things me, because everyone likes to communicate in different ways, is I have a website, www.frankagin.com. I mean, it links to my business, it links to my podcast, it links to my LinkedIn and all the books I've written. It links to all of that stuff, so it's all there, and you get a sense. And email me, and if you want to have a phone call, I'm all about having a get acquainted phone call and learning about people. I might not be the answer for them, but chances are somebody I know is, or somebody that I know knows the person that's the answer. So that's where it all starts.
That's the magic of networking, and not being afraid to meet somebody that could be like, I used to think, oh, I don't really need a financial planner, right? And I
Right.
have a financial planner. So of course financial planners come up, and I'm a financial planner. And then I told them what I do, and they're like, do you know how many people I know that are in the middle of a divorce? So I started to connect with financial planners. So you got to think out of the box, that person like myself, there was a girl that called me through a therapist who sent her to me. She knew no one in Los Angeles, and now she's got a doctor, an eye doctor. She's got a gynecologist. She's got, I hooked her up with like 10 people yesterday. And when I hung up, I know you feel great when you do it.
Yeah.
So there are angel people like him, Frank, that like to do this. I know he's like in the same family. I guess you could say the same spirit family. We
Right.
have that spirit to want to put people together. So if you're a smart person, you might want to meet up with Frank, and I will put all of his stuff underneath of this podcast, which will be all over the place. And now you even get to see him. He's right here, and he's a
Yeah.
happily married man. So as we wind this up, to give a little love tip from you, Frank, after all these years of being married and a successful businessman, how do you keep the marriage and business going at the same time? That would be one other thing.
You know what? I guess my wife and I go for a walk every morning. Now we get up early, we walk the dog, but we walk for about an hour together, and it's just kind of a great time. Just kind of, what do you got going today? What's happening? Okay, what are we going to do? What's happening this weekend? And we're both busy. She's a VP at a Fortune 500 company. I'm busy doing what I do. Um, but it forces us, I don't want to say forces us, it provides us the opportunity to really kind of catch up and know where one another's at. So that's my advice.
That's great. That's great, Joe. And I do that too. You got to stay in sync and stay inspired. And you were very inspiring today. I really like the whole wrap up would be, get involved in your community with charities, really get yourself prepared in advance with your presentation so you feel comfortable and practice. You can even practice on Zoom with yourself. You can Zoom
Yeah.
yourself, and see how
Yeah.
you come across. Look at your background, look at what you're wearing, if it makes you feel great. And I'm super excited that you came on because networking really is the key, and networking and dating are similar, except you're putting out a different message. So watch the messages that you're putting out. And I'm really excited to tie these both in because I see that there's so many business people that are lonely, and there's so many single people that are lonely, and they really all are about making a connection and staying connected. So I want to thank our guest today, Frank. I called you Agin, so how do you
That's
say
okay.
it? How do you
Frank
say
is
it?
good. Agin. Agin.
Frank Agin, who I really like a lot, and I'm super excited that I'm going to be involved monthly with his networking hub organization. So find out all about him right here below, and I swear you're going to be so excited that you got to meet such a wonderful man. So thank you for your tips. I think this will inspire people, and I'll make sure that I send it over, and you'll be seeing yourself on LinkedIn and all over the network. So I wish you a happy day, and anyone listening, make sure you take chances and get out online and look for all the networking events in your community. And what would be your final words of wisdom, Frank, as we sign off?
My final words of wisdom would simply be look around and find somebody to help. It'll make you feel good. You'll look good in other people's eyes, and people want to associate with you. So it's really about giving.
I love it. I love that. So go out and give and be that person that listens more and gives back, and your life will flourish not only in love, but in business. So this is Renee Piane, the love designer, signing off. And I would love for you to send in any questions or correspondence about this, and keep connected to me. I have classes every month. And this month I'm teaching, it's called my Flirting with Life and Networking class. So you can bring a friend for free and you can meet people for love, friendship, and business. Because just like he said, it's all about being able to speak and connect with people, and you never know what kind of magic will happen. So keep your heart open to love. Thank you so much for tuning in. And again, thank you, Frank, and thank you to all the people that are tuning in to these wonderful podcast to keep your heart open for love, friendship, and business. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.